weather, extreme weather here in Ecuador. It has rained continuously. It has taken an absolute beating. Thankfully, it's not my land, it's the neighbor's land. But that must be, 50, 60 tons of gravel that has come down. So the river has just been atrocious and it has done so much destruction everywhere. So I'm going to show you what we have to do to our little river, our secondary river. So there's always these things that you have to do in your design process to accommodate this extreme weather that we're experiencing everywhere in the world. So it's a new lesson for humanity to be very precise in what we do, and this extra layer of protection has become very, very important for everything that we do. This is the entrance to our secondary river. This river supplies us with topsoil and gravel and rocks. And we have to sort of protect this now because the weather's been so crazy here. There's so much water. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a grate in front of here. And what the grate is going to do is going to collect all kinds of material like this, and it's going to clog up. And that clog is going to protect this area from being flooded too drastically, and it's going to be an overflow protection. So the metal bars that are going in here are going to catch all this type of debris, and it's going to move it, and the water's going to go that way downstream. So our gardens are a lot more protected. So I'm going to show you inside the garden what we have to do to make it more secure as well. Yeah, so this is the day after the storm. We've had so many storms lately. We get all this beautiful gravel deposited in our secondary river. A lot of areas have good topsoil as well, like really fine, sandy, rich in nutrients. So the river gives us a lot of energy for the gardens, but we have some design issues. This is going to be the sauna, so we need to have the wall higher. All these walls need to be made higher. So we thought this swimming pool would be safe, but what we didn't calculate on is that this gravel fills up 2-3 feet, and then it goes over the edge. So the water will go actually into the swimming pool, carrying a lot of debris with it. So we had to think about it, and we're going to raise this wall a lot higher. So then when the gravel does fill up, it doesn't overflow and fill up the swimming pool with sand and gravel and topsoil. So we got to shore this up. We got to get all the sides a bit higher. So this is always secondary design. And what I call it is sort of like a fixing process where your design was good or good enough, but it wasn't including these elements of these natural occurrences that are happening everywhere in the world. So you have to basically over design everything that you do nowadays because this extreme weather is more common than not. And it makes a big difference when you have a little bit of a buffer nowadays for flooding or whatever it may be. And that's what we're going to do now is we're going to actually make this a lot more safer by raising everything up so we can accommodate a lot more water. So all this gravel we always harvested, the topsoil we harvest. So it's very beneficial for us when this actually floods, but also we want to have a more controlled effect on the maintenance of this secondary river. Right now it's become too much work. We have almost all the gravel we need, so we don't need these massive amounts of gravel anymore. So we're going to have to really plan out how we're going to stop so much of this material coming into the secondary river. So after every storm, we have this little bit of a thing that we do is we come into the secondary river and we harvest everything that is organic, topsoils, this type of shredded material. So we really pay attention to harvesting everything that is organic and can help us in our gardening efforts because we're so far away from bringing in materials. Then we strip back all the gravel, and we have many areas in this scenario where we have different materials. This little fountain whirlpool area is always full of topsoil, surprisingly. So we get a lot of dirty topsoil out of here. And we've got to get this finished up too. We've got to get all the materials in place and make a coping here and a coping here. And by doing all that, we'll have a much safer setup where not all this material is coming in anymore. We have to block a lot of it out so we don't have all this work every time we have these massive storms. The plant material is untouchable. It just collapses from the wind, but it has such beautiful root systems that the river can't really get at the walls of the river. So this circular pool has a very peculiar habit. So we have all this gravel on top, and underneath these areas here, where we have very fine gravel, there's endless organic material. So we separate all these materials after storm, and it gives us about, I don't know, 20, 30 wheelbarrows of different materials that we can use to improve our soils. So this organic sandy material really helps us keep our garden nice and well drained, because if we don't have this garden well drained, there's too much water here for certain months of the year. So we really need that to be a big part of our gardening effort, having all this organic material being well drained with a good sandy component. So this is what we have to do. We have to always look after this secondary river. We're getting tired of having all this material that we always have to clean out. So we're going to make a real effort of blocking off the entrance and raising all these areas so the water's directed where we want it to go exactly. Yeah, okay, so these elevation changes are incredibly powerful in slowing down the water to such a rate that you're just amazed how much energy these elevation changes take out of the water when you get these heavy storms coming through here. Like just one step like this has this real pooling effect. And when the water's flowing backwards, so the water comes over, digs this space out, and it's got this churning effect. And that slows down any water that's coming behind it. Yeah, so it's really interesting. When I designed this river, I was always pushing the water against an edge. And when you push water against something, you're reducing the speed. So this double S does incredible magic on the speed of the water. It slows the river down so much. The moment you introduce level changes, even pools, you're slowing the water down even more. So it's this idea of pushing the water to an outside edge where it hits against these walls and slows down immensely. And by doing this very complicated set of swirls, you get all these different areas where you're slowing down the water immensely. So this is the hardest part of the design. So the river comes through here, hits here. If this gets filled up with gravel, then it goes into this pool, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So this double S or triple S has worked really well for us, but it has, we never figured that we'd get this quantity of water coming through here. Every time you have all these elevation changes, you're having this churning effect where the water is being sort of put into reverse. And that helps this effort of dealing with extreme weather work so well in a situation like this, where you have walls where the water's pushed against, where you have these straight downfalls where the water's turning upside down. It works incredibly well by having all these different elevation and grade changes.